Hello, my name is Reginald Andre, and I am a cybersecurity expert specializing in cybersecurity for law firms. As a law firm, you store a lot of valuable information, such as trade secrets, intellectual property, merger and acquisition deals, PII, which stands for personal identifiable information that can include your client's first name, last name, email address, social security number, and of course, confidential attorney client privilege data. Because of this, it is your responsibility to protect your data from hackers. A lot of issues that you can have if you don't protect your data from hackers can be anywhere from consequences ranging in minor embarrassments to serious legal issues. Because if a hacker is able to get into your emails, they're now able to access this confidential information. Also, there's something called ransomware, which is the when you're not able to access your data because the information is encrypted. And now you have to pay the hacker to get your information back. Hackers have also been known to public leak to the public information about law firms because they don't pay the ransomware. Of course, you would also be losing public trust, and you would have less confidence from your clients because they know that your firm was the one to leak their information or someone else's information. And they can also be malpractice allegations and lawsuits. Because of this, it's so important to make sure that your law firm is protected from hackers. And my goal today is to give you 7 tips on what you can start doing tomorrow to protect your data. So tomorrow when you go into your office, these are all practical tips that you can use to start making sure that your law firm is more protected. So the first thing that you're wanting to do is you want to be able to train your staff on how to mitigate the risks. 8 out of 10 times, there's a hacking situation that happens at a law firm, not because of a sophisticated hacker, but because of an employee error. In fact, the Wall Street Journal says that if it wasn't for employees, hackers would more than likely never be able to get into a system. But because of employee errors and mistakes that they make, this is why hackers are typically able to get in. So don't assume that your employees know about cybersecurity. Provide training to them. For example, there's something where you can send out phishing emails, and in a phishing email is an attempt to have your employees click on a link or fall for an email with hopes that when they do fall for it, they are now trained so that they know that next time, if it is a real incident, they know what not to do because now they had the proper training. I highly encourage that you do monthly meetings with your staff and find cybersecurity topics that are out there. And some of the items I'll be speaking about below, and just make it a culture in your firm that anytime you're having meetings, one of the topics is about cybersecurity. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use strong passwords. Another easy way for hackers to be able to get into systems is because employees love to reuse the same password. The same password that they use for their banking website is the same password that they use for a court website, is the same password that they use for a courier website, and on and on. And what happens is when a breach happens on one website, the hackers are quickly going to other websites and they're using the same username and the same password in hope of being able to gain access, which is why it's so important that you train your employees not to use the simple passwords such as password or 123456. And in fact, they should get something which is what is called a password generator. And with the password generator, it allows the employee to securely store passwords of the firm, and it allows them to generate passwords as well. So with the password generator, it creates a very long 12-character password. And that means that every website that your employee logs into or whatever the portal is, that it's a different password. So if that website is ever hacked, that password has only been used in that one place. So hackers will no longer be able to just go and hop from site to site and hoping that the employees are reusing the passwords. The next thing you're going to want to do is encrypt your data. There's been many times where we've seen on the news where law firms' data is now accessible by hackers. But when you encrypt the data, what you're essentially doing is making it so that if anybody reads these files outside of the environment of your law firm, they're not going to be able to see it. So if a hacker now has your Word documents, has your Excel spreadsheets, has your PDFs, when they try to open it, it's going to open and it's just going to be gibberish. Therefore, they now can't they can't tell you that they're going to leak the data because there is no data to leak because the information is in gibberish. And also, they can't sell that data on the dark web because the information is gibberish because it's encrypted. So there's plenty of different services. You can Google it. An IT person can help you, but there's different ways to encrypt your data. So that way it's only allowed to work on open on certain computers. And if that data leaves that computer, because it's the way it's encrypted and the way it works, it will not open properly on other computers. The next item, which is number 3, is access control. Everyone on your staff doesn't need to know everything. Many times when a hacker gets into a person's computer, they're accessing a lot of things that the employee probably should have never had access to. They shouldn't have access to the administrative folder, the payroll folder, different departments, different attorneys that may not even deal with this associate. So there's something that is called least privilege. And with least privilege, that essentially means that when you're creating a document, you're setting permissions. And the permissions are that if someone doesn't need to know or has no business knowing about a particular folder, a particular client file, then you don't give them access. If you have Susie, who's the attorney, and she has her clients that she deals with and her associates that deal with those folders, but then you have Bob on the other side, and he does nothing, although it's one firm, but he has no relations with any of the data that Susie needs to access, then there should be really no reason why Bob needs to access that. So this is now another layer of security that you're putting, because if Bob's computer ever gets compromised, at least it's going to just be the data that he works on and not the data that Susie works on. So that is called least privilege or need to know. The next thing you're going to want to do, which is number 4, is set up two-form factor authentication on everything. Two-form factor is an additional security measure so that if someone were to have your password or one of your employees' passwords, it would then send a message to the phone, and there's different ways. It can be text message, which is not the most secure, but it's better than anything. And also there's different apps. Microsoft has an app. Google has an app. They're called Authenticator Apps. So that way, let's, for instance, a hacker was able to get one of your employees' email passwords. Now that hacker is now on their computer trying to now log into the email account. Once they put in the email address and password, they're going to be successful. However, there's going to now be a new window that pops up to say, enter your 6-digit code or enter your Authenticator app code that's happening. And these codes rotate every 60 seconds, making it nearly impossible to be able to bypass. So because the hacker doesn't have your employee's phone that has that two-form factor, they will not be able to get into the emails, which is the example that we gave in this instance. Two-form factor is not only for emails, it can also be for different websites. It can be even as simple as where you purchase your office supplies. Most modern websites now have two-form factor, and we've seen instances where there's, for example, retail websites where those websites got hacked and people started to purchase items on those websites. Now, you may say, oh, well, if they just purchase it, of course, I'm going to fight it back because it's not my fault that the website got hacked or someone got my account. But just think about all the trouble you now have to do to dispute those charges. Last thing we want to do is you want to be able to train your clients. Depending on the type of law that you practice, there may be instances where you're constantly emailing back and forth. For example, if you do real estate law with title and insurance and things like that, there's a lot of back and forth transactions that's going to happen. And what you have to train your clients is, if there's any wire instructions that you ever have to send to them, make sure that it is very clear that this document that you're sending them with this account number and wire number and so forth like that is the only document. In fact, if you can give that document to the client in their hand rather than emailing it, that is even much, much better, because we've seen many incidents where the email was compromised, and now someone created a fake email and gave new wiring instructions because they saw the old wire instructions, and they created a letterhead, they created an email with a signature that looks just like the last one, but then now they put new instructions. So train your clients about wire fraud, and that you would never ask them to make a payment over the internet, or you would never require them to send money or ask for certain personal information, whatever the case is, because there's so many different examples because of the type of law. But train your client. Never send emails with their social security number. Never send emails that may have confidential information that if it did get out to the public, they wouldn't know. For example, tax returns. Now, you may be saying, well, I'm a tax attorney, so how are you telling me to tell my clients not to send tax returns via email? Well, that is absolutely correct. Your client should never be sending you tax returns for any reason via email. There are more secure ways that, and I'm not going to endorse any of the products, but there's Clio, there's Dropbox, there's a lot of different ones. And essentially, it is a secure way for you and your clients to communicate. So for example, I'm the attorney, and now I'm going to be writing an email to my client. I'm going to tell the client that in order for you to send me any type of documents that's secure, I'm creating you a link, a secure link, and you're going to create a username, you're going to create your password, you're going to have two-factor authentication, so that when I do ask you for the tax documents, you're going to go into the portal and you're going to upload all of that sensitive information. And now that securely goes up to the portal. And then for me, myself, the attorney, I now go to the portal and I have access to everything I need. And if I need to download it, I can download it, or I can just view it from the portal. So it's very, very important, because there's many instances where we've seen where the attorney systems were secure, but because the clients were not trained and did not know that they were not supposed to do something, they just started to send information unsecurely. And then later on, that client's email gets hacked, and the hacker goes into the sent folder, and now they're able to see everything that they sent the attorney. So it's kind of like the attorney was super secure and did everything he needed to do, but then the client was not doing things that they should have done, and therefore their information got hacked. So this is all the information I have for you today. All month long, we will be talking about cybersecurity training and tips for law firms. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe our page so that we know that you're enjoying this. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave it below. Or if you would like for us to talk about any particular comments, we would definitely like to assist you with that. Until next time, take care.